I don't know how not senile you have to be before some of this doesn't seem very authentic. Is that a fair way to say it?
I think it's a fair way to say it. I think you're greatly overestimating our ability or even our concern around this.
And here we go again. Against the odds. It doesn't take a genius. Here are Mark and Mike.
Ramsey!
I appreciate that you said that just for my mental health. I know that's really the truth. You didn't let the AI overlords take over our narration.
Yeah, I thought I'd show up in person and do my part this time. Didn't feel like I was earning the royalties off of this that I should when I'm letting my artificial intelligence do all the work. Yeah. So we ended up the last episode. You kept going to a dark place. Concerned, maybe a place of concern, and your children are younger than mine. You're obviously think about ramifications of the future more than I do. So let's talk about let's dial it right back into us. It's all about us. Are we as coaches, so almost in some cases counselors,
right.
strategic partners, are we about to lose our jobs?
Yeah. So we were talking about this before we hit record, and the idea of somebody contacting me and reaching out to me, which happened a couple times today. I got a text message. I had a phone call this morning where they're looking for some guidance and they want to talk through something. In fact, they'd like it to be every other week. In the case of a couple of folks that I talked to today, the third one's probably going to be a one-off because they've got kind of an emergency. But either way, they're looking for somebody to come in and ask the right questions, have some knowledgeability about their industry, have some knowledgeability about where they're headed, and so they're seeking me out to have those conversations with me. And we were sort of talking about this, giving you some of the specifics that I won't share on air because it's private, confidential stuff, but I was feeling pretty good about it. And then you said, what, Mike?
Well, I basically I didn't say, I asked, right? Is this something the machine could do? Right. So this, as a coach, you're going to ask some questions.
Yeah.
And then you're going to, based upon your experience, with permission, you may offer some insights.
That's right.
So going from a pure coaching role to a little bit of a consultative role, you'll say, okay, I've seen this before, and here's some of the things that you might expect as outcomes. Here's some things I predict that may may get in response when you approach this other person to have this this conversation. So yeah, could the machine generate those questions, and could the machine go out then and having read every psychological paper ever written and read exchanges between us carbon-based life forms, could it then predict those things fairly accurately?
Yeah. And the answer's yes. I think you're right. Yeah. And my
all right, the machine's taking my job.
So
it goes to our question. It goes to our question we asked in the first episode, right?
It most certainly does.
Yeah. In what way is working with you better than going online and getting advice from the chatbot?
And what's hilarious is people are chatting me right now, and my phone for some reason went off do not disturb. So I'm getting distracted as you and I try to have a real conversation by chats. Meanwhile, somebody could go to a chatbot who would never be distracted and would always be completely there for the next part of that conversation.
Oh yeah, and I think we're going to hear this, in marriages.
Oh,
Well, you know, Chat GPT is always there for me.
yeah.
Chat
Yeah.
GPT doesn't look at his watch while I'm talking.
Right.
It doesn't try to watch the football game over my shoulder while I'm sharing things. Like,
Yeah, honey. Uh-huh.
yeah, 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 uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah.
So my counter to that was, and we talked about this a little bit last time, um, empathy is not going to be there with Chat GPT. I can't, I guess we need to spend a philosophical discussion defining empathy before we really say this, perhaps, but I don't think it has the ability to care in the sense that you and I would care. Care comes from the same root word as love. You know, it can't love. You know, it's just like, you know, we talked about strippers and prostitutes, that barring your exception of Pretty Woman, and several other very sentimentalized, you know, stories in the world of fiction, there's not going to be true care behind whatever that relationship looks like with someone who's getting paid to be there. And the same with Chat GPT. It's coded to be there. It's not coded to care. And what I mean by that is it will not. If I care for somebody, I'm going to put my self-interest aside for their sake, right? So I love my wife enough that I'm going to tell her some hard things. I love my employee enough that I'm going to go have a conversation about how they don't smell very good, right? ChatGPT probably could do that. Someday we'll have olfactory sensors for, you know, workplace bots, and it will go up to Bob and say, "Bob, you smell." It'll say it in a great voice, even. You know, it'll be some AI generated, lovely, soothing tone, but it won't actually care. It won't actually care. So I think perhaps that was my next step of our argument. Is I think that's an advantage we have. You, meanwhile, said tones of voice, you know, even if they're computer generated, you like hearing them sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, my thought is if the machine creates the right the emotion in you,
Right.
is it necessary to have the human? And my example was, you know, I go to the self checkout, and I do all the work of the cashier. And when I pull my credit card out of the machine in the most lovely and just warm and empathetic voice says, "We appreciate your business. Thank you. We hope you had a great experience." And I'm always like, that was nice. That was better than 99% of the cashiers I get in life. You know, and
Yeah.
the carbon-based bipedal upright ones. So I leave with a little smile.
So, okay, there's care behind, you know, behind the machine. There's somebody. There's a human caring enough to put that tone in there. Let's see. Can I share?
Well, there was care before that. Somebody had to budget, had to care to budget that we spend some extra time and engineering money to make,
Correct.
you know, otherwise I get Stephen Hawking. You know, all right.
I didn't know you were going to say that on air.
You're
Okay.
gonna have a nice day. Thank you for shopping here. You know, but somebody said, let's spend some extra money.
Right.
And let's find a voice actor or a voice synthesizer or an AI voice generator that
Right.
sounds empathetic, warm, and caring and appreciative. And then
So
they plugged that in there. So there was care.
there was care behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So somebody had to care enough to make it better than, you know, just machine like.
So going along with that argument, I'm going to try to share this. We'll see if this works. But can you see that?
Oh, I see two wonderful, you know, baby fur seals with looks like Precious Moments doll eyes,
Yes.
big oversized Pixar kind of eyes,
Yes.
with eyelashes. So I've got these white baby fur seals with big eyes, eyelashes, and they're looking up at me.
Yes. In fact, one's looking up at you. One has some sort of pacifier in its mouth, and you can't see from the angle, but I believe that one is asleep and is getting its battery charged. That's what that pacifier is with the cord on it. And what this is the Paro seal robot. It's a little seal. I don't know, probably what would you say, 1.5 feet long, maybe, something like that. Plush toy, but it responds to light, touch, sound. It sort of moves its head, and it interacts with people in the nursing home, people that are suffering from dementia. And it has had
it like an ominous Stephen King moment, right? And it interacts with people in a nursing home. You're kind of showing your hand here, buddy.
I am totally showing my hand.
Yeah.
I'm totally showing my hand. But because you and I watched a video about this, the social worker who brought in the robots clearly cared, and the patients were interacting with these seals, and really, it made them come alive. There's no doubt about it. And this is an amazing tool for people who are struggling, right? At the same time, I'll stop sharing the image here, but at the same time, I do think that there is I don't know how not senile you have to be before some of this doesn't seem very authentic. Is that a fair way to say it?
I think it's a fair way to say it. I think you're greatly overestimating our ability or even our concern around this. So yeah, when you pick one of these furry squishmallow plush things up, and if you scratch behind its ear, right, it leans into you, right, just like a dog would, right, pushes into you. It when you speak, it looks up at you with these big, sympathetic eyes.
Right.
It purrs. It responds to sound and everything. And so, and then in the video we watched, they talk about this has replaced the dog.
Right.
So used to on the weekends, they would have people, and the people would bring their, comfort dogs, their comfort animals into the nursing home, and the nursing home residents would interact with them.
Yeah.
Well, they figured out that's it requires
a lot cheaper.
Yeah, the person has to be there full time. You've got maintenance of the dog, like care and feeding of the dog. And then somebody has to drive it there, drive it back. Where these things available 7 days a week, no cleanup, no mess, no food, right? You plug them in. And even while they're sleeping, even while they're being charged, they just look adorable. I feel good. I feel soothed just looking at them sleeping. I'm like, oh, he's sleeping. And the genius of this, the charging port looks exactly like a child's pacifier, connect to a little, corded cable. And so when it goes to sleep, you put its pacifier in its mouth, it goes to sleep. So even the engineering design,
they made you want to care about it, right?
Yeah, even asleep, it looks like it's sucking on its pacifier, and versus here's a port on its side that looks like an electrical car charging port. You plug a big black cable into it or something. No, this looks, even that part of it, they thought that through well enough to make that just an awesome part of the experience.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, and we've talked about IDEO, that you and I took a course in human-centered design from IDEO, and again, human-centered design. That's part of the magic of designing something, is that you have to do that as a human, looking at other humans and how do they use products, and what would make this best for them. It's an act of caring to design something well, and I suppose we can imagine a world where eventually the AI will be able to design something with that level of what would you call it even? I mean, you can't call it care. because it doesn't care, right? I mean,
But does it matter?
but you would say it doesn't matter, and I would say at some point it's going to have to matter, right? Because there will be a wall. I mean, would you marry an AI, right? In fact, since I bring that up, that's one of the plot lines for some of the novels by William Gibson, one of the founders of what came to be called cyberpunk. That there's an AI who gets citizenship and marries, but he's talking about far far future in those novels. But even in this one that I've got in my hand, it came out in, I think it was 86. And he's got this AI that generates art, and it's phenomenal art, and it's sought by collectors, and I've got a quote here that I'll try to share. They talk about this AI's art as songs, the work of art. They call them songs or poems, and so this art dealer type has tracked down this huge device that the AI has that makes these pieces of art, and says, are you sad? And the AI answers no. And she says, but your songs are sad. And he says, my songs are of time and distance. All these things that he's collected over the years, the AI has collected all this information. Time and distance, that's all it is. The sadness is in you. Watch my arms. There is only the dance. These things you treasure are shells. And it's this idea that, even this AI knows I am not sentient. I am just a collection of things that humans have made. And anything that you pick up on has to start with you being a human being interacting with me. Granted, that was 1986's version of, understanding AI, but I don't know that that's that far off, right? Like if we're interacting with this stuff, we're never going to interact with it in a way where we say, the machine cares about me. It's always going to be somebody behind the machine, or it's going to be what I bring to the machine to use in my interaction with the machine. The machine itself will not care. And I say that there's going to be some line where you would say, okay, I'd never marry a machine because it wouldn't actually care about me. I think you'd have to be mentally ill to say that'll be good enough. You bet. It's the people that say I'm going to marry my car. Like that. No, there's something desperately missing from your life if you think that that's going to be a positive human interaction. So I don't know where the level is. I think it's definitely below spouse. How far down does it go, right? Like, could your boss be an AI? Could your counselor at work, your HR department at work be AI? Could your coach be an AI? Could your, keep going, like it goes far down as you want. Could your salesman be AI? Maybe that's good, right? Maybe I want a salesman who doesn't, have a bone to pick, doesn't have a second agenda, just wants to make sure I keep ordering from the same company, and that's good enough. I don't know. I feel like at some point you're going to say, but wait a minute, that thing doesn't actually care, and I need it to care.
Right. You said something really important. You said there has to be a void in your life in order for you to embrace this. So if the void in my life, if I'm in a nursing home and my kids are, 1,000 miles away and it's an airplane ride to come see me, there's a void in my life. And now I've got this baby fur seal
right
that loves me, responds to me, is attentive to me. There was a void in my life of caring, and this thing filled that void.
Yep.
So we saw, it was a few years back here, the Japanese came up with this little kind of figure, sculpture that would talk to you, and it was for single Japanese people. And so when you woke up in the morning, it was your alarm clock, and instead of beeping or something, it would say, "Hey, wake up, wake up! You got a busy day today. At New Year's
Right.
schedule, right? You need to get
Right.
going. Don't forget you're not having any dairy this week, so no eggs."
Yeah.
And then it would sense when you came home, so it knew that you came home late. Oh, you're home really late. Everything go well at work?
Yeah.
It would sense if you came home early. It would, and so it would, and then it would, over time start to understand your patterns, and then could comment, if the patterns were maintained or broken, so that it knew, you don't seem to be yourself today. What's going on? And if
And
there,
again, somebody
if there,
behind that had to care to create such a beast. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
right, no, so there was a void, right? This person's
Yeah.
single. They're living in a 150 square foot apartment in Japan.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're known for working people to literally to death. It's part of the they have words for it in their culture. And
Yep.
so I've got this void, and this thing fills it. And
Yeah.
so if the electrical impulses going into my brain communicate that that is care,
Right.
is it really care? Right.
Yeah. So, and we talked about this a little bit. My answer to that would be the villain in the Matrix, the villain who's not the AI. He betrays the humans who are trying to escape the Matrix, because he says, "Look, I know the steak I'm eating isn't real, but it sure tastes like steak and it smells like steak, and I just like to stay in this place." And he's the villain because he's not willing to go face reality, right? He's not willing to go interact with human beings in real life. He wants
But
it all to stay.
but he did, and he found he
Right.
didn't care for it.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
like,
hard.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
hanging out with real people. They suck. Yeah, plug me back
Yeah.
into the machine, and
Yeah.
yeah, make me. And I like the part where he goes, "And make me somebody important."
Right.
Yeah, yeah, maybe the president of Australia. Give me Australia. I'll be
Well,
fine.
I think it's it's really telling about a lot of the things that we fall into today, that are real, I'm going to call them problems in our society, whether it's addiction to binge watching television, whether it's addiction to online pornography, whether it's we had a lot of void fillers, alcohol. We could go through the list of all the things that are going on right now. And I heard this phrase last week, deaths of despair. That we have so many people dying of overdoses and alcohol related deaths that it's like they've given up on real life. Let's just retreat into this. And that, we know that's not healthy, right? Like nobody thinks that that's healthy. And on the flip side, we're saying the seal is healthy, right? Like the seal fills a void that we would like as human beings to fill. We can't be there to hug all these grandmas and grandpas, but we'd like for them to have something that helps them come alive. Okay, well, there's something there. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like that's part of that, figuring out that demarcation zone or that rubric that helps us know, is this good use of AI, or is this something that is taking humanity out of the equation? I think that's, I don't have words for it yet, and I know we'll do more episodes, but I think the issue is where does it show humanity in the interactions? Because if it doesn't, then it's got to be at least enough counterfeit that it does matter to the electrical impulses coming into my brain.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so maybe it goes back to the creator of the machine, right? The creator of the AI, the creator of the baby
Yeah.
fur seal that interacts with dementia patients. So there was care in its creation, and does that count as transferable care? You know, when you think about a movie director, so the movie director cares about their audience. And you know, we've studied the brain enough to know when you're sitting watching a picture and something scary is happening, your brain doesn't know that it's fake. Right. Your heart speeds up, right? Your heart rate changes, you perspire more, your pupils will dilate, you know, just based upon what you're seeing on literally a flat screen. So the director cared enough to create a movie experience that created emotion in you. Right. You cried, you laughed, you had all these emotions, and we pay money for that every single day. Is that necessarily good or bad? And so if maybe the good or bad line is, you know, how much time you spend in the other world versus the real
or transference. What did you call it? Transference of care.
I just made that up too. That's the copyright trademark.
You should totally copyright that. I think that's spot on.
It doesn't take a genius. TM.
Right. Let's say it fast. I think the transference of care is the real deal there, because you could watch, you know, schlock that gives you emotion, right? I think that's, if I remember correctly, that's basically what Madame Bovary is about. She's like, you know, she's obsessed with romance novels, essentially. Well, it's not good, you know, that's not good literature. And it's because the romance novels aren't good. You know, they're manufactured emotions instead of you know, saying something about what the human experience is like. You know, that's a difference. Those are two different things. You know, hey, watched, you know, many episodes of General Hospital and, you know, One Life to Live with my mother growing up, but that was, you know, while an amazing craft, and they do some things there, that's not giving me some of the timeless humanity that you're going to get from, you know, Shakespeare, or, you know, anybody who's been dead for 200 years and we're still reading. There's probably something there that, you know, has made that say that's timeless. That has to do with these eternal things called souls that we have. And that does last, right? That is more than just an electrical impulse that comes in our brain and goes away. It's something eternal. But the emotion is not eternal. So maybe that's where the line is of that transference of care. Holy crap, what are we doing? This episode got way deeper than I thought it was going to get. But
well, you know, I think you know, now we've reached the point of judgment. Are we judging? Are we being judgmental? Because, you know, for some people, you know, for you, a passage from, you know, Marcus Aurelius, you know, is beauty, right? It's just profound beauty. For other people who will never read that, they believe that when The Rock defeated The Undertaker, WWE was one of the most profound moments of their life.
I don't disagree with you that they believe that. My question is, in 200 years, will people still be saying, wow, The Rock versus The Undertaker, that really was, you know, that was a moment for all humanity.
Yeah, that was, you know, let's mark time from that. Was that before or after the Rock v. Undertaker?
And listen, I you know, I have many friends right now that if they would hear this, and maybe they will, I don't know. You know, I want to go on the record as saying, I mean, they should know me to know how much Kish in my life, how much Kish I love. You know, I love Barry Manilow. I'll just go ahead and say that. You know, I love Barry Manilow. That's a lot of manufactured emotions. You know, he even calls it the golden handcuffs. You know, he had to keep producing and arranging and writing songs that style because it was so successful. But even he was like, I don't want to do this all the time. This is not deep. You know, this is shallow stuff. It's just playing with your emotions. There's always a key change. That's my favorite part. You know, you get towards the end of the song and suddenly we go up a key and he does the whole verse or chorus again, just in a higher key. You know, oh, it's so atmospheric. But that's not that's not going to have the staying power of some stuff that really is touching at the soul level. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. But I think we're talking about the same thing. I think we're genuinely talking about where's that line where AI can hit on some really important things that we need, voids that can be filled, but there's got to be some point where it's not. I don't know if that it's not going to understand, but that what it's doing is not going to be able to go beyond manipulation of emotions instead of hitting at the soul. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I think that's going to be one of the challenges you and I face over the next 20 years of helping people in the service industries connect with customers, connect with employees. That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, well, the good news is, we started this conversation with, here's somebody who's got a challenge. They need to talk to me, bounce the ideas, get some feedback, get me to ask them probing questions to, force them to think deeper into it. And currently, January 24th, 2023, right, when we recorded this episode, that's the case, right? And they're willing to pay you for that. They see this as such value that they're willing to spend their time and money interacting with you at this point.
Right.
And so that's a good thing. And
Absolutely.
we don't know how this movie ends, but we definitely wanted to, share with you some of the thoughts that we were having around this, both the pros and cons, concerns, and who knows, you're right, this will be one of the seminal episodes in the podcast. And so 30 years from now, when they replay it,
Right.
then people can go, those guys saw it, man. They saw it coming.
What prophets? What absolute prophets?
Yeah, the seer of seers. That was us. So otherwise they're going, oh, those morons. They had no clue what was coming.
That tends to be closer to the reaction I get from most people.
Yeah,
so
that's the short term. And you're still alive. Once you die, you become much more profound.
That's right.
Your art gets better, your words get more profound, everything gets better. So we're just ahead of our time at this moment.
That's right. Well, I quit.
All right, let's let our narrator, the real life one, let him yay, John, glad to have you back. Let him take us out on this one.
And that's it. Join us next time when you'll hear Mike say, well, I'm sure he'll say something pithy. Don't miss it. Next time, it doesn't take a genius.
That's good enough.